When people have a deep, deep addiction, sometimes they don't have insight and they're very guarded, and it's hard for them, and they may still be in denial. And because of that guarded nature, they're trying to hide it as best as they can, and they don't want you to know. They understand, believe it or not, that there's judgment and criticism and shame behind what they're doing, so they will do the best that they can do to hide this. So these are things I want people to be on the lookout for, because these should all pique your radar to say, wait a second here, I think we need to take that next step in seeking some help, or at least confronting the person. It's really important to understand what happens behaviorally and physiologically, physically, so you might be able to intervene sooner. But let's talk about how it presents outwardly, right? Yeah. So if I were to take an opiate, I'm going to be very relaxed. I am going to be lethargic, somnolent, and likely probably pretty tired. Okay. So physically, you're going to see things, what we call psychomotor retardation, which means that your motor skills are slowed. So it's almost like they're moving in slow motion, right? So if you're sitting there and you're observing somebody that you think might have an opiate issue, and they're trying to play it off like they're not high, and they're going to grab a glass of water, you know, it'd be like, right, now did that look normal to you?
No.
Right, it didn't look normal, right? But to that person, it's normal speed, right? So as an observer, you're going to see, okay, psychomotor retardation, they're sort of in slow motion, right? So that's something you're going to see. There's something we call the opiate nod, or the heroin nod, is that heroin addicts or opiate addicts, they can't perceive to themselves that they're not acting normal, but because of that lethargy and somnolence, they will actually have these like little attacks of sleep, almost like narcolepsy. So if I was sitting here talking to you, and it seemed like we were having a normal conversation, and while you were talking and I wasn't stimulated, I did that, right? It would either look like, wow, this guy hasn't slept in like 5 days, right?
Or I'm a terrible host.
Or you're really boring me.
Right.
But so you may see that. So you may see people nodding off, okay? So you have that motor presentation where slow motion, nodding off. There are also things that opiates do to the body that are very recognizable. One thing that's very recognizable in people with light eyes is their pupils constrict.
Did you say light eyes?
Light, right?
What's a light eye?
So your eyes are brown, my eyes are brown, right? So my pupil is the center of the eye, which is black. Now, if you have dark eyes, it's kind of hard to see that pupil. If you had bright blue eyes, or if I had I wish I did have bright blue eyes, right? If I had bright blue eyes, you'd be able to see that black pupil very clearly. So if you see the person that you care about or live with, and you're looking at them, and they're acting a little strange, and you also see their pupils pinpoint, tiny, okay. That's a sign of acute opiate intoxication. That likely means that they took a dose of an opiate.
Got it.
Right? Now you could see it in dark eyes, you just have to look a little closer. It's not as easy. So you'll see pinpoint pupils, that's something important. The other thing that opiates do to people is it makes their mouth very dry. So you might see them kind of like licking their lips, or kind of having a dry mouth, or dry lips, or having difficulty speaking because of the dry mouth. So these are all things that you're going to see from a physical standpoint. Very, very important to see. Opiate addiction is so strong, Kyle, that people will start to crave and pursue these drugs more than they would even food and nutrition. So they tend to eat less, and you might see them start to lose weight. So you start to see somebody, and there, you know, honestly, that can be a sign of other drugs as well, like stimulants. But you might notice that they start like malnutrition, right? They just don't look well. They look thinner, they look gaunt, they don't look hydrated because they're putting the drugs ahead of getting their next meal. So weight loss, dry mouth, pinpoint pupils, lethargy, somnolence, tiredness, slowed down motor reflexes, that's the physical stuff. Now behaviorally, you're probably going to see some really telltale behaviors. When people start developing an addiction to the point that it's taking over their lives in a negative way, they tend to become more isolative, especially with opiates, more isolative and more secretive. They're not as open and talkative, and you know, they're just much more quiet and reserved and secretive. So you might see that behavior. On the flip side, Because opiates don't have a very long half-life, meaning they're not active in the body very long, 4, 6, 8 hours, when a person needs that next opiate, they may show signs of withdrawal. And you're going to see this because it's incredibly uncomfortable for the person that's experiencing it. So behaviorally, they are going to be irritable, nasty, snappy. It's almost like having the worst hangover in the world, or if someone has a bad flu, they're not very pleasant, right? They're like, oh, leave me alone, turn off the lights, right? You might start to see those early signs of withdrawal. You might start to see them running to the bathroom because they have abdominal cramps and diarrhea. They could vomit, they could have stomach upset from that withdrawal. They start to get a runny nose, it's called rhinorrhea, a runny nose, so they may be sniffling a lot. And get this, yawning. A side effect of withdrawal from opiates, and I'm not sure why this happens, but they yawn a lot. So they yawn a lot, minimal appetite because their stomach is upset, running to the bathroom, irritable, snappy, desperate. They seem desperate, and usually it's desperation for money. Like, hey, I need $20. You got to give me $20. I gotta do something, and but you got $20 on you. The desperation, you start to see this desperation. So unfortunately, because of that desperation, if you live with someone that has an addiction, you might see things go missing. Because in order to support their habit, it becomes, we talked about how expensive this can be, right? At $10 to $25 per bag. If they're using multiple bags per day, I mean, you can easily get into the hundreds of dollars per day of use. So things will start disappearing, and it's usually things that are worth money. Jewelry, stuff that's easy to pawn off. Jewelry, electronics. It's a big one. Where'd my laptop go? Where'd my phone go? Where'd my thumb drive go? Where all these things go? Or, hey, have you seen my watch? Have you seen, things start disappearing. So these are things I want people to be on the lookout for, because these should all pique your radar to say, wait a second here, I think we need to take that next step in seeking some help, or at least confronting the person.
Well, that was my next question about confronting them.
Yeah.
Because if I see all these signs or some of these signs, my instinct as a human being is to say, are you using? Do you need help? What can I do for you?
Yep.
Is that the right way to approach somebody?
Yeah, this topic is so challenging for so many reasons. When people have a deep, deep addiction, sometimes they don't have insight, and they're very guarded. And it's hard for them, and they may still be in denial. And because of that guarded nature, they're trying to hide it as best as they can, and they don't want you to know. They understand, believe it or not, that there's judgment and criticism and shame behind what they're doing. So they will do the best that they can do to hide this. That primitive brain is driving, I just need that drug. So I will lie to you, I will steal from you, I will manipulate you, I will do whatever it takes to get that drug. That's not what I want. Doesn't mean I don't love you. It's not what I want, and this is actually pretty miserable, but they're desperate.
All right.
Right? So sometimes confronting someone with an addiction is incredibly difficult, but I do have some pointers for that. You need to make sure that you're not placing blame on them, because that's gonna cut it short.
Yep.
If you place any blame on them, like, what are you doing? Are you using drugs? You're not going anywhere with that conversation. Nowhere, okay? When you look at this psychologically, the best time to approach somebody is when they're feeling remorseful after doing something or getting involved with the drug. So a night after a big use, or after they did something that they feel remorseful about, is usually a target time to address it. But when you address someone with a substance abuse issue, I want you to use the words I more than you use the words you. I want you to say, hey, listen, I've been noticing that this has been going on, right? What that does is it just simply takes the blame off of them, right? It's like, I've been noticing this thing. It's not you. I mean, I just noticed, and I'm concerned. Is everything okay? I noticed this, I noticed that, right? So use I more than you use you. The other thing is, don't lecture, right? Listen at least as much as you talk. That's really important, because drug addicts will turn off the second they start getting a lecture, because they know it's wrong. They don't want this.
Yeah, right. Oh, this is wrong. Let me just change.
Yeah, oh, perfect, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, right?
Yeah.
So listen, make sure that they know that you are supportive of their recovery. That's important. To say, look, I'm noticing some things here, and it seems like there might be some issues with maybe a substance. I need you to know that I am supportive of this, right? And I will be with you no matter what. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have limitations, right? It's not a get out of jail free card,
sure.
right? You can't just do whatever you want when you're an addict. You have to have limitations, but I support you. If you want recovery, we're going to find it, and I'm going to be with you every step of the way. So be supportive. These are little tidbits on how to approach that person when you see those warning signs.
Yeah. I shot a series with Dr. Yip on hoarding. And part of that discussion revolved around this idea of motivational interviewing, where she really encouraged people to ask questions to their loved one using the style of motivational interviewing, which we can talk about in another episode. But when she was explaining it, I said, so this will just work? You think this will just work? You just sit someone down and implement this technique of motivational interviewing and they're going to see the light? She goes, oh, no. Over many conversations and discussions would this finally start to have some sort of effect. And so I think that's important for people in this series to hear too. Don't think, all right, watch this episode on MedCircle, I'm going to sit down, they're vulnerable, I'm going to use a lot of I statements, and then tomorrow they'll be in treatment.
Right.
This is a line of supporting someone without enabling them and having the patience to see them all the way through their recovery.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very well said. And motivational interviewing is just that. It's not, and you've been through it, right? You've talked about it with other docs. It's not argumentative. It's not telling anyone what to do. It's really getting them to kind of come to their own conclusions and just kind of being there and just really guiding them, sort of bumper bowling them through, if that makes any sense,
yes,
right?
Yes, it does.
Just kind of bumper bowling them down the lane to just know that you're supportive and to get them to sort of come to some conclusions that, I might want to change. Or this may be an issue.
Right? Well, they say that addicts finally will change once they've hit rock bottom, and for many, that includes overdosing. In our next episode, Dr. Sportelli is going to give you some tips and advice and insight on how to handle that event of an overdose. Thanks for watching. Check out the links below for more information on how to access this full series, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch new mental health videos every week. Did you like what you heard in this video? If you want to ask a MedCircle doctor a question directly, you can learn how by visiting the links in the description below.